Hi, my name is Robin Wong. I'm a photographer based in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. I have with me the Nikon 1 J1. In this video, I want to talk about why the Nikon 1 system failed. Let's do this. There is some work being done nearby. Someone is blowing off the leaf of the pavement. I'm so sorry about the noise. I hope the audio is not too unbearable, but the shoot goes on. I don't have much time to make videos these days. Before we start, here are some important disclaimers. This is not a video to bash Nikon or any other camera brands. I'm merely being curious about what happened to this Nikon 1 system. It was introduced in the year 2011, and in the year 2018, which is about 6 or 7 years later, it was discontinued. Overall, these Nikon 1 system cameras have received unfavorable reviews from photographers. The sales, they were not doing well. So what went wrong? I think it's a combination of a few factors, and there are some tough competitions from Micro Four Thirds, from other 1-inch camera systems out there from Sony, and I think Nikon themselves have some wrong strategies as well. I want to take a closer look at why this Nikon 1 system failed. I want to dive deeper and look into the factors that's contributing to the downfall of this one system. Before we talk about what went wrong with this Nikon 1 system cameras, I want to talk about what Nikon did right with these cameras. The J1 and V1, this is J1 in my hand, this was launched in late 2011. It was Nikon's entry into the mirrorless market. They used a 1-inch type image sensor, which was perhaps too small in comparison to what's available out there. But Nikon did have some tricks up the sleeves with these cameras. I'm not sure if any of you know that this Nikon J1 was the first camera ever to not feature any mechanical shutter. This fully used electronic shutter, and I know a lot of people were saying, wow, Nikon was very bold to not use mechanical shutter in their flagship Z9 and Z8, which was their latest mirrorless flagship cameras today, but they have already implemented this shutterless camera, fully utilizing electronic shutter more than 10 years ago in this Nikon J1. I thought that was a little bit ahead of the time, but it was really impressive nonetheless. And in this Nikon J1, if you really look at this camera's autofocus system, I believe this was the first camera to feature hybrid autofocus between phase detection and contrast detection. This was before Canon implemented their dual pixel autofocus, or even before Sony implemented their phase detect plus contrast detect. Nikon was the first to introduce this system. It worked really well. It was fast, it was really reliable for this Nikon 1 system cameras. And of course, not having a mechanical shutter allows this camera to go really fast. The readout of this sensor allows this camera to shoot 60 frames per second in full resolution RAW. Now, for a camera that was more than 10 years ago, I thought those were really impressive. Of all the things that Nikon did right, of course, they did something wrong. This camera didn't really take off. It wasn't well received by a lot of photographers. So let's dive deeper into what actually went wrong. Why did this Nikon 1 system cameras fail? Reason number one, small but not really. One of the unique selling features for Nikon One system cameras are being really small, really portable, but these cameras, if you compare with what's available out there from the competition, they're not really that small. Panasonic came out with the world's smallest interchangeable lens camera, which was the GM1. And even so, the Panasonic GM1 being slightly smaller than this Nikon J1, that Panasonic GM1 features a larger image sensor with micro four thirds size. We have the Olympus Pen Mini, the EPM1 and EPM2. They will launch at about the same time as this Nikon One system cameras. And even so, the Olympus Pen Mini cameras, they were about the same size or slightly larger than this Nikon One system cameras. We have the micro four thirds system, which is more mature. We have more lenses to choose from. The sensors are already larger. That's giving a tough competition to this Nikon One system. And these cameras from micro four thirds are also equally as small. If you compare with other offerings from, say, Sony, the APS-C size mirrorless cameras, they were also really compact. Say the NEX3, NEX5, these cameras, the mirrorless cameras at that time, they were also very, very small. So the size advantage of this Nikon One system, they're not really there. Reason number 2, poor product positioning. I understand that Nikon may not want to cannibalize their own DSLR sales. At that time, their DSLR sales are still going strong. They have the entry-level DSLRs, they have the mid-level enthusiast and pro-level flagships. They were doing really, really well. So they put this Nikon One system, the strategy of these products are placed much lower. The priority is much lower than their ongoing DSLR sales. As a result, this Nikon One system cameras, they are seen as entry-level and perhaps toy cameras. Even the design, it looks more like a gadget and a toy than a serious professional photographer's tool. Now, as a photographer, even if you are an entry-level or a hobbyist, you may want to buy a camera that looks like a camera. When you want people to take you seriously, when you use a camera, it has to feel like an actual camera. But these, unfortunately, Nikon systems, they don't give that kind of impression. But hey, to be entirely honest, I'm actually okay with that. I don't have any need to impress anyone or any need to convince anyone that I'm a photographer. I'd rather use a camera that looks minimalist, that looks really sleek and modern. And I really love this really cool design of this Nikon One system, trying to be different from anyone else, but I can see how this can lead to a poor impression on this camera's product positioning. Hey, if you want to spend money, thousands of dollars on a camera, you want it to look like a serious camera, you don't want it to look like a toy. Hence, this leads to the Nikon One system being seen as something less serious if you compare it to other offerings, say from Micro Four Thirds, Sony, a Canon, or anyone else out there. Reason number 3 is an obvious one. The choice of using a 1-inch tight image sensor may not be working on Nikon's favor. If you look at all other mirrorless camera systems out there, we have the Micro Four Thirds size sensor from Panasonic and Olympus, we have the APS-C size sensors from Sony and Canon, and even Fuji. At that time, when this Nikon One system came out, we don't have full-frame mirrorless cameras yet. It came out much later, maybe 2 years after this camera. Now, looking at the available competition, we have APS-C size image sensor with Micro Four Thirds size image sensors, and these cameras have been out for a while. And then suddenly Nikon released a 1-inch type, which is the smallest of all these image sensors. Physics will tell you that you have the least resolution, least dynamic range, and least high ISO noise control in comparison to other options out there. And this doesn't really put the Nikon One system in a favorable spot. Reason number 4. Competition from Micro Four Thirds system. I'm just going to pick one camera for the sake of this discussion. The Olympus OMD EM5. The EM5 original was launched just a few months after the Nikon 1 system was released. Now, in just a span of few months, we have the EM5, which was a huge game changer in the world of mirrorless cameras. It sets the blueprint and DNA for all the future mirrorless cameras to follow. If you look at the EM5, it has weather sealing, it has magnesium alloy body build, it has tilt screen, it has touch screen, it has super fast and reliable autofocus, it has electronic viewfinder built in, it has 5-axis image stabilization, it has a ton of advanced shooting features, none of which this Nikon 1 system has. This puts the EM5 so much further ahead in terms of this race, and then subsequently we have the EM1, which proves that Micro Four Thirds system can be used for serious professional use, whereas this Nikon 1 system is seen as an entry level, as a beginner's camera, as something they just use for fun. Perception is everything. You have, on one hand, you have a system that is truly trend-setting, that is ahead of its time, versus something that looks like a toy. Obviously, someone would choose something that is more serious, something that brings a lot more value and performance. Reason number 5, competition from other 1-inch type sensor compacts. Now I see there's a spider in front of the lens. I'm not sure if that's gonna cause some weird artifacts in the video, but hey, the shoot goes on. It's a jumping spider. It likes to jump around and stay in front of my lens. Anyways, coming back to the 1-inch type competition, we have 1-inch type compact cameras from Sony, from Canon, from Panasonic. We have the RX100 series from Sony. We have what? RX100 Mark 157 now, or we have the Canon G7X Mark 72 now, and of course we have the Panasonic LX10, and Samsung, at that time when they were still making cameras, they also launched their own NX mini cameras, which has 1-inch image sensor in the camera, and you can change lens, and these cameras are really small as well. So this Nikon 1 system using the 1-inch type sensor is losing its uniqueness. It doesn't really have anything special anymore. All other camera manufacturers have this 1-inch type compact cameras, which are truly compact, and they have really fast and sharp lens and are made to be pocketable, easy to carry, and still have advanced features for those serious enthusiasts. I don't see how this Nikon 1 system have all this ability to compete even with other 1-inch type cameras out there. I personally think that it's a combination of several factors that led to this Nikon 1 system's downfall. Of course, using a 1-inch type image sensor versus a lot of other larger format cameras out there, say the Micro Four Thirds or APS-C size image sensor mirrorless cameras, this doesn't really give you much advantage. And we have tough competition from Micro Four Thirds, which is making advancements in terms of technology and innovation. And even this Nikon 1 system is facing tough competition from other 1-inch type compact cameras out there. In terms of value and performance, this Nikon 1 system is slightly behind, and even Nikon's own product positioning, the strategy is questionable. Having said all that, I personally do enjoy shooting with this Nikon 1 J1 for my street photography. I think the camera is really capable. I love that the autofocus is super fast and super reliable, and its continuous autofocus is also very, very good. I like that the screen is bright, it is very smooth and fluid, and I love that the camera is minimalist. It doesn't have a lot of buttons and dials. It is very easy to use, it's very straightforward, and the image quality, honestly, under good light, in low ISO, it still gives me plenty of dynamic range, resolution, and plenty of fine details and contrast to work with. The only thing that I may not like about this camera is perhaps the color rendering. I've never been a fan of Nikon's colors. I've always preferred Canon or Olympus colors, but hey, that's just me nitpicking. I can always spend a little bit more time post-processing my images. But other than that, I really treasure the capabilities of this camera. I like that it is shutterless. I can shoot 60 frames per second if I have to. And generally, it's been really fun shooting with this camera. I've got some really nice street shots. That's all to share about why this Nikon 1 system failed. Do you agree with my analysis? Or if you have some other thoughts you'd like to share, please leave them in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Have you owned one Nikon 1 system camera yourself? Have you used one? Please let me know as well. And if you've enjoyed looking at my photographs and if you've enjoyed this content, please consider buying me a cup of coffee, or you can contribute directly to my PayPal. Links in the description below on how I can do that. Any small contribution will go a long way. It will definitely help me to continue making more content and publish them right here. Until the next one, please go out and take more photographs. Bye-bye.